Hey, what up, boys? So I make this video with quite a heavy heart, and it's not one that I thought I'd ever make. It seems my time covering Ashes of Creation has come to an end, and from this point onwards, I will be distancing myself from the alpha, its community, and the developers. I'm sure there are many questions as to why I'm doing this, so today I'm going to explain why and set expectations for this channel's future. Now, this all started about a year ago, when Intrepid Studios announced that they would be stopping their 250 pack sales temporarily in order to generate a huge amount of FOMO, or fear of missing out, as they continued to show live streams of the game's so-called development. I knew back then that miscommunication or straight up lies were being utilized in order to hide the truth. I've seen it before. What's he gonna do next? What's he gonna do? Is he gonna stop selling Alpha 2 keys and then...
Okay. I'm commenting on this video because, again, as a game dev, like some of you know, I've been involved, you know, doing programming, everything you can think of. Everything you could think of. When I was younger, I wanted to make my own games. I thought it was like, I don't know. I was young and I kind of built it up in my head that it was like the purest form of art. Like to be able to make your own worlds and do all that stuff. It was really a cool thing. This guy came across my radar because I have seen him make a few different Ashes of Creation things. Like, if I'm not mistaken, this guy is actually the, like, main guy that people go to on this stuff, on Ashes of Creation. But every time I see one of his videos, it feels like unhinged, like mental problems unhinged. I mean, I know everyone gives asmongold shit, but like we're seeing this, right? Like, we're seeing this. We're seeing all this, and this is supposed to be staged. This is just for fun. This guy lives in a place where this is at, by the way. Just so we're clear, even if this is staged, he still did this. And it's almost, it's not quite to the ceiling, but I mean, it's over his height. Like, if he stood up, like, I'm sure this is over his height. I don't know what to say about this. Every time I see one of his videos, it kind of feels, like I said, unhinged. Kind of feels like he's not all there. And it's like, and I get it, like playing it up for the camera or whatever, because a lot of people, not a lot of people, but like some people do. Some people do. But more and more, I feel like every time I see him, it's not getting better. I mean, I guess play it up to, like, maybe if you wanted to get famous, you play it up a little, but it's too much. So anyway, this is a video about him talking about how he now hates Ashes of Creation, but I'm a game dev and I had a few people send me this to watch, so.
Reintroduce Alpha 2 keys. Again, 2 months before the Alpha 2. Is that what he's gonna do next? Holy shit, just like he did with Alpha 1. Do you guys remember that? Lo and behold, just as I knew it would.
Okay, that's not much of a gotcha. Okay, like if they already did it, if that's their marketing ploy, then that's what they're gonna do. I don't know why that's such a gotcha. They did it before and they're going to do it again. They'll probably do it again after this. I can't wait to make that video where I'm like, oh, wow, how did I predict this? Like, because it already happened. It already happened. It's not a gotcha necessarily if, like, everyone knows it's going to happen. And part of the reason I was tagged is because, some of the stuff that's happening in this is like there's people don't like the price of Ashes, but they've like repeatedly, in my opinion, they've repeatedly said, like, if you like if this is a lot of money, don't buy it. They're mainly just trying to fund their studio. And to be fair, if they don't want to be acquired, they don't want to be like taken over, like they kind of have to do this. There's no other option besides crowdfunding if you've already leveraged all the loans you can through conventional means, and you don't want to put personal debt, like you don't want debt that doesn't die with the company. You kind of have to do this. Like, crowdfunding is the best way to get the money because you see who your fans are, and they're actively participating in the development of the game. I don't see this as a bad thing. Just if you don't have any self-control, like, that's kind of on you. Like, if you throw thousands of dollars at this game and they get mad because it's in development, like, brother, you don't have to spend the money. You're allowed to just chill and wait for the game to come out. The game probably won't be $100, $110, or any of these prices. And I know that there was like ones saying that they were sold for even more than that. But it's the best way for them to fund the game without going to pull business loans. And like, dude, most banks look at this, you know, this is a video game, and they say, like, what's our reasonable payback on this? And if these guys aren't putting up, like, their houses or their personal property to secure the loan, as a bank, you wouldn't even want to really fund something like this. You really wouldn't want to touch that.
But the pack sales came back not only in the form of a much lower price, but it also came in the form of 3 phases, delivering a very underdeveloped alpha release that had been promised to us these last 4 years under the price of $250. Leading into this, I had very little interaction with Steven J. Sharif because I have no interest in actually talking to the man. This is why I didn't do interviews or accept any behind-the-scenes information, because I simply do not care. My priority is making entertaining videos for you, and I didn't feel like doing an interview or having information really helped me in that regard. I loved seeing the game be developed from a normal person.
I feel like that was a lie. Because you gotta wonder why he's flipped his switch so hard. Why would you include that? Unless you were thinking about it, because that's like one of your main points. It's in the beginning. I feel like that's a lie. Anyone who makes content that can get backstage information and stuff to their fans does. That just means he couldn't, or didn't take the interviews. I mean, I don't know. It's a weird thing to say. Like, oh, I would never take insider information and do interviews. It's like, why not? Like, your whole channel is built around Ashes of Creation at this point, and mainly your whole function is to get information for your fans. But he says, oh, I'm making entertaining content. You're stacking pizza boxes and shit in your house and being silly and being unhinged and being mental. Yes, people do find that funny, I'm sure, and entertaining, but at the same time, why are you pretending? Like, why are you saying, like, you're so valiant for not taking an interview? That's so weird to say that. I don't care. That's weird to say.
Point of view, and I take pride in the fact that I am just a normal guy looking in on this game's development.
A normal guy.
I think it gives a very relatable and unique perspective that no other content creator really has. My priority is making entertaining videos in a way that I find funny, poking at the state of the game and how much of a potential scam it could be. This has been a...
The game's not a scam. I don't even know why he would say that.
Very successful format because it plays on the irony of a project that is charging $250 but has full control over the narrative, despite how ridiculous everything seems, showing amazing showcases that completely blew our minds. More on this.
When you deal with your concept art okay? And when you deal with like your showpieces, they have to be good. They have to be good. When you're showing something to the public as a dev, you have to develop it and you have to make it look good, because the whole premise is that you need funding to get to that point. I don't see anything wrong with that. You develop a concept of what you want to make and you sell it. People do this with all types of products. Like, industry-wise, half the time you see those Kickstarters with some new amazing gadget, like a prototype doesn't even exist, brother. They don't have the manufacturing. They're just making up concepts and making up what it would be like if they did have the funding. And games are no different. This game, in my opinion, is probably like 6+ years out from here, from this point. But I'm sorry, this is being made by a real studio. This guy's way off base.
Later. This is YouTube. I work for myself. I am in no way paid
no
or
shit.
obligated to praise the game disingenuously. Ashes of Creation offers a referral program, and in my opinion, by using the referral program, it kind of invalidates your opinions of the game and systems due to the real money incentive that is...
Bro, get the fuck out of here. Is he serious? So if you use a referral program, your opinion matters less because you're just a little pay pig. Bro, if you're making content for them already, essentially, it doesn't matter what kind of content you make. If you make bad content, look at Josh Strive Hayes. If you make content shitting on a game, sometimes it is just as good as the opposite. And if you collect money in the meantime, that is just called good business. This isn't wrong to take the money that you are owed for getting eyeballs to their project. They are just paying you for the work you are already doing. This is a good thing. This is a good thing for creators. This is a good thing for the company. It helps both. It helps the entire ecosystem. What fucking white horse did this dude ride in on that he thinks that this, like, you're a corporate shill, you're a fucking sellout? It's like, dude, this guy is like full commie rhetoric already through this whole fucking thing.
Offered through this scheme, be it a pyramid, Ponzi, or
You're not a
multi-level
knight.
marketing scheme, it doesn't matter. What matters is that the content creators using it are receiving real-life benefits by utilizing it.
Hey, no
They
shit.
profit off your $250, so of course they are going to bend the truth to incentivize you to...
And that's not true either. Stop. Bro has just front-loaded this with some bullshit. I'm sorry I keep stopping it, but he is front-loading this with just bullshit. Bro says no.
buy in,
Bro!
which leads me into the current state of things. Personally, I don't think Phase 1 was in an
You do not, because you have a referral link, does not mean you have to lower your moral standard, you have to change what your opinion is, or whatever. The referral link is just to directly support the creator. Every creator will say, do not be influenced by me. Almost every creator is just like, look, I've got it down there. If you're going to buy through me, if I'm the one who helped you found it. You know, if I help you find it, buy through me. Support the content. That's all it is. There's no magical white horse. There's no gleaming armor. There's no being better than other human beings. Like, this is such a weird take. Imagine if I just said, like, I'm better than these guys because I didn't do the smart thing and take the fucking referral code like I should have because I'm primarily making content for Ashes of Creation. What a dumbass. How did he afford all these fucking pizzas?
acceptable state to test
Jesus,
the game.
dude.
It was sold to us as a networking test. Yet, now that the Phase 2 has launched, no networking strides have been made, and their so-called
Blast, by the way.
dynamic gridding still isn't implemented, despite being told on multiple occasions it's coming. Initially, we were told it already exists.
Right now, dynamic gridding is in place. Right now, what we are doing is we are optimizing, fixing performance around that, and the current goal, which is on target, is that dynamic gridding will be online by the start of Alpha 2.
Then we found out that it's coming in late Phase 1, then we're told that it's coming at the launch of Phase 2, yet here we are in Phase 2, and all they've done...
Okay, well, if Phase 2 just launched, I think that's something, but you just have to understand, if this guy's running the company, again, game dev talking here, if this guy's running the company, he can only go on the expectations that he has either set himself. So what that looks like is this. He goes to his team and he says, we need this done by this time. Let's get on it. And the team goes, yes, boss. And then they go to themselves and they go, I don't think we're going to get this done. And then the other guy goes, yeah, I'm not going to tell him. Okay? And then realistically, when the meetings come up, okay, everyone likes their jobs. Okay? This is the hard fact about corporatizing game dev. When it's just a group of guys that can tell each other that they have small cocks, the games are good. When it's a group of guys that has to wear suits and answer to people and do this whole corporate rigmarole, then no. You don't get the same level of communication. You don't get the same level of truthfulness. Do I think that this guy is intentionally leading anyone wrong? Absolutely not. This is one of the most above-board companies I've seen recently at all, bro. I find it weird that this guy's framing it like this. How he's saying, well, they lied about Phase 1. They lied about Phase 2. So they didn't lie. Every company has goals that they set for themselves. And sometimes, like, especially the head of the company, they don't know how realistic those goals are. Sometimes the head of the company is not working on the game. They are securing finances. They're doing other stuff. Like, I've never been, like, the full head of the thing, so it's hard to speak on. Like, I'm trying to think, like, they do other shit, though. And they manage people, and they're usually team managers, and they're, like, going around. And they typically know how to do all these different roles, just not well. But they have to know so that they can communicate between departments. When you're the head and the face of the company, you have meetings you have to go to. You have, to sit there and you have to plan and you have to do other stuff. The people that are working on the game are responsible for these goals. Not this guy. He is responsible for saying what needs to get done and giving them the tools to do it. And by tools, I just mean people, computers, like whatever. Whatever they need to get this done. But I bet when he gave that interview, because see, this is what will happen too. When you give an interview and you go, okay, well, you get these status updates on like what you can say, what you can't say, what you can allude to, like foreshadowing, right? Before he goes on camera, he usually gets like a piece of paper that says all that. Like it'll say, here's your do's and don'ts. This is what you can talk about. This is what you can't talk about. And even though he's the main company, right? Usually he'll have like a community manager that feeds him like questions that the community has, and works as a bridge with the community to let him know what's going on, what they're worried about. And they fit all that together, and then they make, sometimes they don't make a script, but they make like a do and don't list, which they'll have off screen, like right there in front of them. And sort of what that goes into is this. If he's saying that the grid needed to, like it was implemented but needed to be worked on, I'm sure that was true at the time. But what you have to understand is this. Sometimes his team comes back to him and says, you know, we tried it that way and it didn't work. We're going to have to pivot. We're going to have to pivot because it's not working. Then he has to go back, and as the leader of the company, in videos like this, they have to smooth that out. Because the reality is, sometimes these aren't lies. Like this guy's making this video is just, he's kind of nuts. I mean, I knew that to begin with, so I'm not surprised. I have not seen this, so I'm just shocked why he would nuke his entire channel, because his whole channel, from what I've seen, has been built around this content. And he seems to genuinely like the game, which I guess was a lie, but he doesn't lie, so I don't know.
Is delete 5 of their servers and claim they've doubled their server workers. They now claim that they have 6k players per server, yet I find it hard to believe that there are even 6,000 players logged in at all, because the whole 1.2 thousand kilometers squared, or 18 biomes, are supposed to host 8 to 10,000 players. So how can just one biome have 6,000? Unfortunately, the state of the networking makes the combat, arguably Ashes of Creation.
You can support, just so we're clear, what he just said sounds so stupid. Like, and it's clear this guy doesn't have, like, any background in this stuff, so I'm being harsh. I am being harsh, to be fair, but I'm always harsh. Like, I don't know if it's just the way he's saying it or whatever, but, like, personally, it's like this. This server infrastructure that he's talking about, you can host an infinite amount of players, okay, if you had the right infrastructure. Most games don't, though, and especially on Unreal, it was not made to host MMOs. It can. It wasn't made to, though. It was really made to host small matches. 10 players to, 64. That kind of era. Like, not thousands, but with the right infrastructure and the right setup and the right coding, because this works on C#, you can program in C# on this, and you can do whatever you want. If you have your servers set up clustered correctly and you have everything, I mean, the best thing I would say is, for anyone who doesn't quite understand about server stuff, the only one I know that can break it down simply for people who just don't know about this stuff and just genuinely are curious is that Linus Tech Tips. He talks about server infrastructure and breaks it down to a level that I think pretty much anyone can understand. Now, I will say in my background, I hated doing multiplayer stuff for this very reason. When you deal with multiplayer, it's hard. But Unreal 5 has this very amazing technique that deals with some of this shit. Okay? They thought about this, and they said, we know that people make multiplayer games, not just single player games with our software. Like, what can we do to make this easier? And what they did was make a box. On most, like, you would have a player, an object, or whatever, and if that needs to, it's called replicate on server. When you hit that box, it essentially takes care of the back-end coding of getting that to show on a server. Because what happens if you don't? What happens if you don't replicate on server? Well, you couldn't see the movement of the people around you. Now, these trees like this, as long as they don't need to be interacted with, like in this game, I'm sure that there's like stuff that you can chop down. As long as this does not need to be interacted with, it does not have to be networked. Any of these players can see this because it'll always be there. It's a static object. You don't have to replicate that on server. So the only time that it matters about this server infrastructure that he's talking about is you can have as many people, theoretically, okay? I don't know where this myth comes from. That, like, there's a big myth that you can, like, people will say this all the time. They'll say, well, World of Warcraft only has X amount of players on a server, so that's how many people you can have. That's not the industry standard. Okay? That's not even like how it works. I don't know why people think like this. And I guess it's because, you know, once something is being spread, I guess it's hard to reel back, you know, because it kind of takes on a life of its own. But I know this is long-winded, but what you have to understand with this server shit is that you can infinitely have as many people as your infrastructure can support. You know, like if Google decided to make all of its servers a multiplayer thing, and they have pretty good setup, I'm sure they could make a game that supports like 100,000, something nuts. But it does also depend on like, hey, we're using Unreal, what are the limitations? Because it's going to have an upper limitation to like you can't just keep putting more RAM in a server. You know what I mean? But the limits that we're talking about nowadays, granted, this is like graphical, okay? The simpler the game, the less data has to be transmitted. That matters. But also getting the servers and everything to render everything at a certain quality, like all this matters. But like people see like old games like RuneScape and they see like how many players on one world and they just assume like that's the only realistic thing. It's like, dude, that game is fuck all old. You can do so much more nowadays, but is it expensive? Yeah. I would imagine it's pretty expensive to set up what they're talking about for a company like this. Unless they have a way to scale with like Amazon servers, AWS has the ability to plug in to Unreal and ramp up the amount of servers that you need. Now that's costly though, okay? Like if they're running this game and it has servers up for you to play in, it's a lot of money, okay? It's a shitload of money per day. Like per day, it's a fuckload of money to run these games. It is much better when a company has full control over their servers, but that's also talking about spending like, you know, like how much for a geared out server nowadays? I have no clue. I mean, it's got to be upwards of like 20, 30 grand a server to get like, because you can have like a shitload of RAM now, and you can have a shitload of processing power that you couldn't just 10 years ago, where servers were just not commercially being produced to support, you know, because we're coming off the era where the only servers was like web servers, voice communication servers, and like making a server for just you and your friends to play on is not the same as this. There's like real bottlenecks, so to speak. That's what we'd call them, is bottlenecks. If the game engine can support it, you can have an infinite number of players as long as your infrastructure behind that. Infrastructure, again, is just servers, people to support it, people to get bugs out, you know, connectivity. Because, like, when you're a company, like, your connection speed matters. Like, you need to position your company somewhere where your internet and your connection to these servers is like insane. Typically like 10 gigs plus. And what we try to do is we try to limit the number of packets being sent out. And that's where you get your ping. When you push a button on your keyboard, that sends a packet to the server to move forward. We want, when you hit that button, for you to move forward almost instantly. So you send that packet, and we receive the packet and send something back. And that allows the character to move for everybody. So when you take that into account, you have to have good internet, you have to good RAM, good CPUs on the servers, GPUs if it matters. Sometimes it doesn't. But nowadays things have changed a lot. Unreal 5 was built with the intention that people will make other things than shooters and things like that. So all you have to understand about that is, you know, what he's saying is so stupid.
Creation's main strength completely unplayable, and thus causes the test to feel tedious and boring. But it's just an alpha, right? I get that, guys. Trust me, I've been covering this game for 4 years. I'm well aware that it is an alpha. The state of the game is not what I'm concerned about. It is the seemingly deceptive communication that's going on between Intrepid and their testers. This lack of communication isn't just shared by me, but it's shared by everyone in my...
He's saying that again. He's saying that again. If you pick up on it in the beginning of this, he said he'll never do an interview. He'll never take inside information. And now he's saying there's a lack of communication. So, secretly what he's saying in the background is, they won't talk to me, I'm mad. Fuck this guy.
My community and the majority of the other content creators, all of which straight up quit making consistent content, which leads me into the main point. Phase 2 is simply an...
So everyone stopped making content, so he's going to stop. Okay.
unsuitable testing environment. Steven Sharif claims that this is a true alpha, yet they present the game in a way that is to be played.
By the way, I've done alphas. This is way better than an alpha. Like, you got people here like using spells, farming mobs. You've got so much things like lined out for you. This doesn't feel like an alpha. They're calling it an alpha, but, and I get it, most of the game is like completely bunker broken, but this don't feel like no damn alpha. People don't know what an alpha is until they actually play one. You could almost call this a beta if the world was more fleshed out and had everything like working correctly. I don't know. These are all arbitrary titles, by the way. I'm saying I've seen worse. I've seen way worse. Way worse.
Like it's a launched product. We have to grind for 50 hours to even test anything, which doesn't make sense, and is...
It does make sense. They're taking data behind the scenes. They're seeing how fast... There's going to be people who level faster, and there's going to be people who exploit, and they need to find those. They need to figure out who can chew through the content the fastest and figure out how they're doing it. And they need to, when they see you all struggling and you can't find those glitches or whatever, or those things, the efficient ways, they've got to figure out how to boost your high-end players and your low-end players and bring them to more of an average. So again, stupid point.
Is why testers are dropping like flies, because we already did this and tested it all in phase 1. So why...
And they have to test it again. And they will test it again in the future. They will keep testing this because they have to. They have to bring the XP curve in line with expectation of what the player feels like. That's why WoW just keeps exponentially increasing how fast, and they got to the point where they were just like, fuck it. Here, you want a maxed out character, just buy one. Because people's expectation isn't in line with the... it's not even worth it.
Why did they wipe us and add no additional systems for us to test? To me, the vassal system or level 4 nodes would be one of the main reasons to wipe the servers, yet the vassal system or level 4 nodes weren't even introduced this phase. And now they even claim that they're not going to wipe at all. They are instead just going to introduce new servers. So what's going to happen to those old servers? They claimed prior to phase 2's launch that at the...
So he complains that they were wiped and they had to do it all again. Then he's now complaining that they heard and listened. The company said, we hear you. We're not going to wipe that. You can keep those characters. Instead, we've got a better idea. We're going to start new ones and gather the data from these servers so that these two things are uncontaminated data sets. And it solves two problems. The people bitching about the resets that don't want to do it again can still get on and play on their characters and see the new stuff. But hey, yeah, bitch about everything. That works. Like, you can't have it every way.
The launch of this phase, the desert was going to receive an expansion.
I am just going to be talking about what's going to land on December 20th. We're going to go through what systems are going to land come December 20th. Let's talk a little bit about what we have coming up for
This guy is the creative director. Boy. It makes a lot of sense now. Well, I'm hearing him talk, and this is nothing toward him. This is actually just me being a piece of shit. I'm just saying that so people know. This guy might not have great public speaking skills, and he may not have good interpersonal connections like with other people. Because it's just hearing him, I'm like... or he's just extremely nervous, and that's fair. I don't... don't, like, I'm being a piece of shit again, but I'm just saying, hearing him talk right there, I'm like, oh, that's rough. He should really get someone to do this for him and focus on what he's good at.
December 20th, right? The desert as well. The desert is probably going to receive a little bit more love than the tropics will, given that its assets are obviously a bit more developed.
Granted, just so we're clear, I have not watched almost anything on this Ashes of Creation shit. I'm mainly responding to this video because people wanted me to.
Then the tropics location.
This prompted people to finally expect some remnants of the desert showcase that was shown in 2022. Yet, what we received was this: an empty wasteland that could be generated in Unreal Engine 5 in seconds, with the Winstead and Mirrorleth nodes being copy-pasted.
Okay, this is fake, by the way. Not fake, but he made this up for the video. I saw clips of this. So what he did is he went to an area that has nothing in it and then said, look, there's nothing in it, for the video, to make you on his side, because you seeing this gives you an emotional reaction, and he needs to manipulate people onto his side to give himself I think this video is to give himself a way out of making Ashes content, because he doesn't want to make it anymore but won't admit it. Just like he said all of his friends did. They quit making content. It's not fun anymore to make the content, but his whole channel is built around it, so he needs a good out. Like, he needs a way to get out of making the content without people, being people. And it's starting to make sense why he made this video. It's because it gives him this, like, to his fans, he can say, look, I'm out of here, here's why, and they'll accept it. And he's adding, like, emotional shit like this, emotionally charged language, and lying about things, because it does frame it very nicely for him and his fans to feel like, oh, he's not abandoning what we want to see, he just doesn't believe in it anymore, and we trust him enough to move with him. Makes sense.
Onto their...
Didn't have to be like this about it, but could have just been a simple conversation about what I just said.
Slightly rotated. The state of the desert has obviously sent a lot of people into a confused frenzy.
Also, this is real, by the way. I just want everyone to know this all exists in the game. He's full of shit. Even this mount, which he claims doesn't exist, exists in the game. They showed it. They wrote it around. It's disgusting. The mount is, like, so nasty looking. But, because it doesn't start out like this. You have to, like, mount it like this. It starts out, like, where it's, like, standing. It's gross. Anyway, My point is, this exists. This all exists. There's videos of it.
With Reddit posts popping up expressing this concern. This isn't just isolated to me, guys. This is what everyone in the community feels. However, these posts are now being locked by Steven Sharif himself, and people are being banned by Steven Sharif himself for simply stating their concerns. There was a beautifully written post about
It's called damage control. I mean, I don't think he should ban anyone. And to be honest, since this guy's lied like 50 times in the span of 6 minutes, maybe he didn't. Maybe those are not the ones that are getting banned. The ones that are probably getting banned are the ones that are just straight up going on to their main. Like, he can't ban you if you're not commenting on the main one that he controls, okay? So you can say whatever you want. They just don't want you to flood their shit with just nihilistic, like, garbage. And, like, pessimistic bullshit. It's an alpha. You know? They've realistically got 6 more years of development before they're in beta, probably. That's just my guess based on looking at what I've seen. I honestly don't need any comments about, no, they said it's going to be done this time. I'm telling you from a developer standpoint, they have 6 more years till the beta, at least. An MMO is not an easy game to make. And especially for a new studio, and this is what they wanted to make, like, it's a tough thing. It's a tough thing to make this. You need a lot more skills to make an MMO than you do anything else. So, just saying. Quit. Daisy, quit. She's sleeping up here, but she's barking at somebody outside. Look, I'm saying he shouldn't ban anybody for just voicing concerns, but there is certain levels of damage control and stuff that you agree to, community-wise, when you go into this shit. So, look, guys, don't go somewhere and be a little dickhead, and you won't get banned. I'm sure this isn't banned because this guy is showing it, and there's a lot here, but this guy's perfectly explaining everything, right?
About this, talking about how the project is not the open development that we were promised, and it's Steven's reply to this thread.
Okay, locked post. So, that doesn't mean that this is banned. That just means they locked it probably because it got a bunch of negative comments that they don't feel like moderating. Probably this got negative comments from, like, people telling me he's wrong, getting harassed, and they just locked it. I think that's fine.
That made me reconsider covering this game. He states that the desert show...
You don't... Goddamn. You don't have to lock something for the basis of not allowing people to interact with the content. Sometimes you lock something because you don't feel like moderating 100 comments, 100 hate comments toward whatever's being said. Like, there's multiple reasons for locking things, brother.
Showcase in 2022 was not real, and in fact just a showcase using assets that exist, and actually it's pretty normal for developers to do this.
It is totally normal for developers to do showpieces, to show what their vision is. And the fact that they have those showpieces means that they have the ability to create those things. It's just not functioning. There's a difference, right? There's a difference between something being totally, completely playable and functional, okay? Like something, like a mount you can go and buy, put in your inventory, put on your hotbar, ride, do all this, versus just being able to see it, see how it would function, showing the animations for it, showing against a edited background, whatever. The point is, normal people need those scenes, because how am I supposed to just sit here, like what if all he did was do a wall of text like this to tell you what the game is going to be about? Yeah, not very effective, is it? No, normal human beings need, like, literal. They need to see. Okay, they need to see what the idea is. They need to see you're able to create that idea, even on paper. They need to be able to see you do it. Okay? There's been a lot of scams. This is not one of them. There's been a lot of scams that, you know, and listen, if you fell for one of those, you deserve everything you got. I'm not even going to be nice about this. Some of those scams were so obviously fucking scams that if you fell for them, I don't care. I don't want to fucking hear it. Some of these MMOs, brother, that's a whole nother video. Some of these MMOs are just garbage. And, you know, one of them got like 8 million. That's nuts. You have no idea how many people is in 8 million for them to get that much with $1 donations all the way up to thousands of dollars of donations. And like, yeah, you could say, oh, well, that's a piece of shit comment because like all those people, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. I don't care. You cannot be a victim like that and then come back and say, well, like, how was I supposed to know? It's like, dude, there was like 1,000 signs. This game is being scrutinized, and there's actually almost no red flags at all. They're just doing normal stuff. Like, you have to realize this. Normal game development does not show you these steps because, like, big studios do not show you all these steps and do not let you in, and do not let you get to see the alpha, and do not let you get to do all this stuff. Because why? Because they're afraid that people will act like this and ruin the game and its potential before it ever comes out. They'd rather just hype train it, keep you right on the fucking edge, and then release it and let you dump the money to find out that it's trash. Okay? These guys are being above board, regardless of what you think.
This is simply not true, because developers that do this receive a lot of negative backlash.
Okay, this is one of those scams I was talking about. This guy's just fucking stupid at this point. The video has just devolved into just him saying that Chronicles of Illyria is the same as... No. No, it's not. And not even close.
Selling promises and pre-orders on a showcase that doesn't accurately represent the game.
Yeah, it doesn't accurately represent the game because they didn't have the ability to make any of this. This was assets that they purchased, not made. Like, Ashes of Creation has an entire team. It's proven. It's a fact. They're putting, in some cases, up their own money. They're getting... I'm just... Bro. Making this point is so dishonest. It's so dishonest.
But in this case, it's not even a downscale of what was shown, it's just a straight-up lie. Back in 2022, when the Desert Showcase was being shown, they made it absolutely clear that this was the current state of the desert biome, boasting about their innovative tools to help them develop the world fast, and in no way, shape, or form alluded to this being just a concept.
Unreal 5 does help you do this fast. The functionality is the part. Like, this is a mob, I assume. You have to go in and program all types of stuff. Health, armor, blah, blah, blah. What it drops, what it doesn't drop. You know, whatever. Its relationship to the player. Can it be tamed? Can it, you know, whatever. Is it rideable? Blah, blah, blah. Like, whatever you want in the game, the functionality has to be there. But to get this kind of look, yeah. This kind of look is achievable through Unreal 5. Okay?
Concept.
You know, these are some of the foliage that environment's been creating
Yo,
as
look at
part
that.
of what's capable of creating an interesting desert biome, because many times in the games that probably we've played, the least interesting biome type tends to be a desert. And it's been always fun, as I've experienced in the MMOs I've played, is like, you know, how do they spruce up a desert? And one of the interesting things you're going to see in Alpha 2 is how the desert also adheres to seasons and has weather and has giant...
He's so dishonest for this. All he's saying is, hey, we want to show you what our environment artist has been working on. We want to show you what we're capable of. and he's sitting here being a fucking turd, switching back and forth to a fucking lie. He knew what he was doing. You're not gonna... Listen, this guy might be dumb, and this guy might not know anything about game development, and this guy might not like Ashes of Creation for not working with him, and this guy might not like all these different things, but to say that he's stupid enough to not know what he's doing here, nah, brother.
Giant dust storms and clouds within which there are interesting creatures that might not normally be present unless for that particular weather. That's going to be very interesting as well.
I've seen the videos of this. This exists.
The sand tornado capabilities with the dust devil.
What he's showing you is like an edge of the map that like has a bunch of like nothing, because the entire game is not made yet. This area does exist though.
Kicking up both in the weather presentation as well as a little bit in the desert reveal. And you also saw some ambient effects that live across the top of those dunes, where you're seeing winds of sand getting blown across in the distance.
Everything he's describing sounds fantastic. Your environment artist, if that's his full-time job, can do everything that he's talking about pretty quickly. There's actually no reason to fake anything or not have anything done from what he's showing. Like, they're building out certain areas one by one. It's a pretty big world. And that area is just not part of the game yet that he's showing. Because all this stuff that he's talking about, yeah, I get it. This main guy talking is the head. So he doesn't, sometimes developers don't exactly explain to him like, oh no, this is easy. Because, you know, this is their job. You don't want to sit there and be like, hey boss, this is so easy. Sure. So he doesn't realize that it's easy to do. But it is. In an Unreal... And when I say easy, I just mean that before Unreal 5, a lot of this would take a lot more time to set up. And it would take a lot more effort. And it would take, you know, we're talking about months instead of days. You know, and and to be honest, I don't know how big of a team they have and where they put their stuff, but I do know that their map is absolutely gigantic. Okay? And you know, more so on that server stuff, I do know that there's a game called Albion Online that perfectly represents that server thing I was talking about before. Because I just thought about it, that they have a mega server with everyone connected. Okay? Everything he has said is absolutely doable in Unreal. And he has a team. And he has the funding, clearly. So I don't know what this little guy is on about, where he's just like going off.
And you know, here's the key point. Graphics don't make a game fun. Systems make games fun. But graphics make those systems far more enjoyable.
Right. And Unreal 5 is a graphics engine, more or less. A lot of the functionality needs programmed that you need to work on. But to get something to look good in a short amount of time is pretty easy. Their main bulk the main bulk of their work has nothing to do with the graphics. It has a lot to do with the work that they need to do is functionality and making sure the systems work together and making sure all of that works online with other players.
This, in fact, extends to all showcases in the last 4 years, and everything shown was not real. The story arcs that showed the world dynamically changing around the Tower of Carfin and Oakenbane Keep, it was not real. The beautiful environment and weather that was shown during the seasonal...
I don't know how much of this is true because he's lied so many times so far, guys. I can't go and verify each one of these. I'm just going to assume he's full of shit at this point. It's been 9 minutes of just straight up fucking bending the truth to whatever he feels like and lying to make a video. And he knows what he's doing, okay? I don't want you guys to sit here and think that this guy's just making a genuine mistake. He's intentionally doing this. There's no way. There's no way. You're not going to... And I don't want comments about this, by the way. He's lying on purpose. Okay? Flat out fucking lying on purpose. Okay? Straight up. There is no reason to do that. But he is. For the video. For the views. For this reason right here. Look where we are right now. I'm reacting to this because it's so crazy. So he got what he wanted. It's just, why sacrifice all your goodwill and all the stuff that you built for some lie?
And commission showcases were not real. The amazing freehold showcase that showed the farm animals, housing, and crops were not real. It was all just a concept with a $250 price tag on it, with the promise that eventually these things will make it into.
That's called game development, by the way, if anyone's wondering. And why they're charging $250, I just need you, listen, whatever these big price tags, because he keeps going on about the price tag, you guys need to understand, any game that you have played recently has the same price tag, just not up front. Okay? A lot of the games that you play, look at Diablo. Look at Diablo. You got your main purchase, which is going to be like 80, which is already feels high for most people. Most people feel that that's like a high number, and I would agree. But game development is scaling over time, like inflation and everything, and these companies have to be competitive because, listen, if programming is a desired thing, right? It's what I don't know. It's hard to talk about this to people who just genuinely don't know, and it's not your fault. But if programming is a desired thing, and I get it, most of you would say, programming, you mean those stupid fuckers who sit in there and sit on a computer and tappity tap tap? Yes, programming. Programmers are needed, and not just in game dev. And usually, a game developer can translate to other stuff like I did. You can translate to websites, and you can translate to working for small businesses, and you can translate to a lot of different things. Each of these sectors, okay, pays different. And each of them needs a different level of qualification. I did not go to school for this. I'm completely self-taught. But have I maintained the ability to get jobs? Yes. Why? Because it's so needed. And as long as you can do the work, nowadays, they don't really care. They're saying, like, look, can you genuinely do the work? This is what we will offer you. And it's usually better than most things, as long as you can do the work. Now, there's a lot of people who say they can do the work, then they don't. But what I'm trying to say is this. He's talking about this price tag repeatedly, as if it's this huge number. I guarantee you that the money they're asking for barely covers what they really need. Now, you might say, well, that's scary. Maybe he is right, because if it covers barely what they need, then I should be worried. It's like, no, no, no. The further that they get along, the more that banks and private funding and investors and stuff like that, all of these things, and if their end goal of Ashes of Creation is to be bought out by another company but maintain autonomy, they have that option. Honestly, if they were smart, they would sell to Amazon, maintain autonomy, keep their studio, and sell to them. Once this thing is, But hey, that's their business, right? I'm saying if they're smart and you're doing business and you want to minimize risk and you want to do that stuff, that's cool. But what I'm saying is that 250 it's a drop in the bucket. Honestly, even if you had hundreds of thousands of players like he's talking about interested in the game and they all purchased at 250, I am telling you point blank, that is not enough. That is not enough. I guarantee most of the money spent on development has nothing to do with the money that players are generating, because it's not enough. Now, you don't have to believe me, but you go look at any game that you've played recently, and it's going to have your price tag, and then it's going to have extra shit you can buy, and it's going to have DLCs, and it's going to have just endless amount of purchases. The reason it does that is because it's trying to upsell you to the point where, okay, well, now I've spent, there's games like League of Legends where people spend, $4,000 on a free game. They need more than they're asking for, but they know the market doesn't support it. You guys will never look at a $4,000 entry fee and think of it the same way, or even a $250 entry fee and look at it the same way as if you spent that money over time. And I know this because I'm a dev. People do not think about their money that way. They think of, man, this is a steep one-time purchase. Some of them rationalize it saying at least it's a one-time purchase and I'll have endless amount of hours. But some people can't rationalize. They'll just say, well, I'm not doing that. But then they'll go play a mobile game. Okay, check this out. Those same people who said that they won't buy an $80 game will go play a mobile game and drop $40 a month. Okay, so what you need to understand, people are not the same, but the market in general has trends that we have to follow. And if those trends say that we cannot ask for $250, then you cannot ask for $250. These guys did it, and that's crazy. Because he should be asking for closer to $80 and getting $50, It's the difference between this, guys. How many people have $250? Not that many. Not all at once. How many people have $80? Will you make more money asking for $80 because a larger number of people will buy it? Or will you make more money asking a small number of people for the money that they have? And the reality is, especially in mobile and especially nowadays, is just ask for the smaller number and get it back later on the back end, like skins or whatever. Make up the dev cost on the back end. Okay? Show the banks some kind of viability. Get private investors. Put your own money in. That's just the reality. Now look, if they do this right, it's a profitable business. It is. But they got to do it right. They got to execute. And all I'm saying is, every time he says 250, he's emotionally manipulating you and saying 250 to be like in your head. Okay? You need to take yourself out of that and really look at what he's doing. Because it's kind of disgusting, to be honest. Because, he's saying none of this exists, but it definitely does exist. They definitely made the assets. They definitely set this all up. They definitely did the time. They're just working on the functionality, and they're an alpha, bro.
To the game, maybe. How many of you chose to support the project based on the expectation that the showcases were what they had at the time you pledged, not what will come in 6 years from now? You cannot act like Chronicles of Valeria and not expect backlash from this. But the main thing that is causing me to step away isn't the state of the game. The main thing is that whenever stuff like this is brought up by me or any community member, the narrative is that it's just an alpha, and therefore it's okay.
It is okay. It is okay. It's what the alpha is for. I keep saying that this guy's doing it intentionally, but with statements like that, I really question whether he's just that dumb. It is totally fine. It is an alpha. That's true. The reason people are saying it is because it's the truth. An alpha is for these things. And everything is subject to change and improve. And that's what they're doing. They're gathering data. You have no idea how valuable. Like, fuck the money they're asking for. Fuck the money from the private investors. Fuck the money that they have in the bank. The data that they are getting alone from these testing can be sold for millions. Okay? This data is good. Like, you're going to have a guy who's like me who does analytics going through this saying, like, where players spent time, what did they do, how did they get stuck on anything, how many times did they use the unstuck feature, where did they use the unstuck feature. You know, I could just keep on listing shit, okay? But the data that they are gathering is a multi-point stream of shit that an analytics guy has to go through and make inferences. I would take that data and I would say, okay, we've got 200 players that use the unstuck feature in this location. Okay? We need to figure out, is there a way to fix this and do this for the next round of testing? And then we'll kind of just see if that falls off. And if that falls off, we did good. Even a small change like that, brother, is what alpha is for. Alpha is not a complete game. Alpha is not even nowhere near a complete game. Even beta suggests that you have most of the functionality done, and you're gathering more data that accurately represents the final product. But even in a beta, stuff isn't going to be done. There may even be like a cutoff point, like, oh, you can't level past a certain area because this isn't finished yet. And then by the time the game launches, that will be finished. But we only need to a certain point of data, because after a certain point, especially in an MMO, it's copy-paste. Like, what you guys gotta understand, if you've played World of Warcraft, and you go into a dungeon, if you go into a dungeon like Dead Mines, right? That accurately represents a dungeon at the end game. We don't need you to test the one at the end game to get the data that we need to optimize the end game. That's why, if you'll notice, when these games launch, some of the problems that they have, especially with dungeons, happen toward the end game, not the beginning, because the beginning has been tested out, everything is good. They apply that data to the end game, optimize it for the same things, but obviously it's had a lot less testing, and so when you have big problems like the boss resetting or like wall glitches or whatever, you know what I'm talking about. They happened with New World. You can go, you can look at what I'm talking about. The end game has a lot less polish because we test the front end, because essentially, if a potion works one time and we test that it works, we don't need you to test every single potion in the game. They all have the functional code is the same. Okay? It's all the same. Simple as that.
It's not okay. It wasn't
Oh my god.
okay for all previous Kickstarters to do this, so why is it okay for Ashes of...
Because those were lies, brother. Those were flat out fake. They didn't have a company. They didn't have people programming. They didn't have people who knew what they were talking about. Oh my god. I'm actually fucking pissed. I'm actually getting pissed at this fucking little retard. I'm gonna drink this Baja. The games he's talking about, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry I'm stopping this so much, but hopefully someone gets some content out of this, because I'm gonna fucking punch my desk. This guy is comparing a fucking flat-out, huge corporate structure indie developer with two fucking idiots who went online and scammed people. What a disingenuous piece of shit. The guys he's talking about that scam people didn't have a company. They didn't know how to make games. They made all of this shit up. One of the guys said that he, worked at Google and that wasn't true. Or some shit like that. They didn't even know how to program. They just put some shit together that looked good and scammed people. That is not the same as a company. I'm sorry, I'm yelling. That is not the same as a fucking company that has multiple employees, multiple stuff set up. Like, are you fucking stupid? Oh my god. Listen, guys. What I want you to understand about me is I don't hate a lot of people, but I fucking hate liars. And it's different. If you don't know you're lying, I think I could forgive that. If you just go, you know what, actually, I didn't know. That's my bad. That is completely different from this guy blatantly fucking twisting the truth. And oh my god. I can feel my blood pressure going up. To compare an indie company with real employees that have real resumes, that you can track their careers, that you know they know what they're doing, to compare them with fucking some scam people who made a fake thing that dropped in pre-made assets is so fucking insane, brother.
Of creation for Steven Sharif to sit there on Reddit and call me an uninformed content creator who can't.
Which is true! You fucking idiot! So that's what this is. It's a fucking hit piece. Now we know the truth, guys. This thing is just a fucking hit piece because he got called an uninformed content creator. Because he fucking is. He's a fucking mental patient with a bunch of goddamn pizza boxes in the back and he thinks he's funny. He is so stupid and doesn't even realize it. I'm actually triggered. I'm so sorry. I'm actually pissed. Because is this guy's like, you know what? Come at me next, you fucking idiot. Jesus Christ. All he said was you're an uninformed content creator. You know what? You are. You're worse than that. This guy, if he wasn't a professional, should have told you you're a little fucking idiot.
Casts illusions on people's fears and negativities when I've spent the last...
Absolutely, that's what you're doing. You're fucking preying on people, you're getting them on your side, and you're manipulating them, and it's fucking disgusting, bro. It's fucking disgusting. Why do people act like this? We see you, you fucking idiot. We have eyes and a brain. People do not need to be fucking manipulated by people like this, bro. My heart rate's up. I was sitting here this whole video giving, like, really foundational stuff. But I am half tempted to just fucking exit the shit out of this because... Goddamn. My heart rate. I'm saying this. This guy is being such a manipulative piece of shit to his viewers that trust him. And they believe him to a certain degree because he has authority with those people. And I'm sorry, but he's manipulating you. Because what the fuck he's saying isn't true. Flat out. Now I know what you're thinking. Well, he must be some kind of Ashes of Creation fanboy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Fuck this guy. I don't give a fuck whether Ashes of Creation is made or not made. I don't give a fuck if the Sharif guy is true or if he's going to be successful. I don't know him. I don't care. Okay? I don't care about this fucking narc idiot. With fucking pizza boxes and mental disabilities. Here's what I'm saying. I have no stake in this. All my information is based on what I know about the industry and what I have done over the course of my life. I've dedicated a large portion of my life to stuff that never made money. I made a living. I didn't make it big. I didn't make an indie game that everyone got behind. All of my dreams and all of my stuff did not happen. I'm one of the rare case. Well, I say rare. I'm one of the cases that is typical. When you're young, you believe you can do stuff. You think, man, I'm going to learn how to program. I'm going to make an indie game. People are going to love it. I'm going to make stuff that people love. I'm going to make stuff that people care about. I'm going to make experiences for people. I'm going to get to use my artistic talent. I'm going to get to use my ability to tell stories. And I don't want to just write books. I want to make things for people to play. That doesn't happen for everybody. Okay? That doesn't happen for fucking everybody. Even if you have good intentions, you definitely shouldn't sell stuff that you know you can't do. I always kept my shit realistic to what my abilities were. But unfortunately, the landscape has changed. Maybe now I could do it. You know, but I'm in my 30s. And all I'm saying is this. Everything I've done up until now has given me certain life experiences to know that this guy's full of shit. And what pisses me off is I'm sure that he has a lot of people that totally and 100% believe what he's saying. And that sucks. Because they don't know any better. It's not their fault. And they've probably spoken on his behalf. And that sucks. Because, like, it is just criminal. The amount of shit that he is talking in this video.
Last 4 years of my life doing the opposite is absolutely disconnected from reality. I simply do not accept the bullshit that is being spewed, and nor do a very large portion of this community. But for him to also prey on mental health as a way to defame and dismiss these concerns,
I'm gonna have a heart attack. I'm gonna have a fucking heart attack responding to this video. For him to prey on mental health. That's what he's doing? Brother, you are such a dumb piece of shit who is manipulating your own audience and manipulating people for views. And it is for your own mental health, bro. It is for your own mental health. We can see your mental health in the background of your fucking videos. A lot of people struggle with mental health. But a lot of those people who are struggling don't also manipulate their audience, lie, and fucking go online and think that they're allowed to do it because you have a following and people will stand up for you. Just because people are being manipulated into following you and believing what you say does not make it right that you can just sling whatever you want and have it be true and say it's true because you have an audience that'll back it up. Okay? Your own mental health. He's listen to what he says, bro. For your own mental health. Yes. Because I'll tell you, between the two people talking, who looks mental and who doesn't. One is a guy who's literally leading a company, hoping that everything goes good, and dealing with the stresses of that. The other is some little fucking weirdo hermit. Oh my god. I'm just being pulled into it.
whilst locking and banning people who express the same is nothing short of irony.
Yes, if they're fucking talking shit, and if they're popping off and they have nothing to say that's creative or good or whatever, and you're sending people over there to fucking harass people, then yes, I think they should be banned. You fucking idiot. If you're sending people over there to fucking spew crap, the moderators have a fucking duty to the community to weed out this stuff because people are actually having real discussions. These community moderators are paid to do that. Okay? They're paid to moderate the community.
You claim that open development isn't for us, but what I think you mean is that open development isn't for you, Steven Sharif, because what you're selling is not open development. It's funding at any cost, and if anyone questions it, you ban them. So, from the bottom of...
Because it's normal. This is open development. This is the most open development that I've seen any game have, by the way. This guy just lies back to back, like, through this whole video.
Of my heart, I have to apologize to
it's
everyone
so open.
who I convinced to help support this project these last 4 years, because I thought I was being shown the genuine state of the game, not 4 years of Unreal Engine fakery. Now,
Oh my god. Bro, you're walking through the game. They're not hiding anything. You're talking about concept art as if it was finished. The functionality isn't there. That's what they're working on, my guy.
let's not get this twisted.
Yeah, let's get it fucking twisted. This is so crazy. Let's get it absolutely twisted.
Is a scam. There is a lot of potential here. They've put a fuck ton of work into this game.
That's the first true thing he said this whole fucking video.
I had a lot of fun playing Phase 1. However, the fun came
Okay. Had a lot of fun playing Phase 1. Well, what'd you play since it was all fake, you fucking idiot?
from the interactions I had with players, not the actual game itself. The
You mean an MMO? God damn! I actually had a lot of fun interacting with people. That's what I remember the most. Yeah, it's called an MMO! You fucking idiot!
test itself was actually
Bro!
quite tedious and boring. But if the game continues its development, everything that I've said during those Phase 1 videos still stands. I just can't bring myself to condone the practices that the game is currently engaging in, and I wish the developers at Intrepid
The practices that they're talking about is called a normal development cycle, by the way, to get this game fucking finished for ungrateful fucking idiots like this guy. I hope, when this fucking game comes out, they act so spiteful and they just fucking ban him on any account that he jumps on and just refuse payment. Because you know what's going to happen, right? This little idiot, when this game drops, and who says it will, right? Games fail all the time, especially MMOs. There's no guarantee, and this will be in a disclaimer somewhere, I guarantee, because I've worked with companies. They're going to have a disclaimer that says, hey, this might not work out. And it might not. Companies fail all the time for multiple reasons. Not all of them have to do with funding. Okay? The two heads of the company are fighting. Okay, done. Game's done. Okay? It doesn't matter what happens, but I'm saying, I guarantee, if this game does come out, he is going to farm content on it. Okay? And when he does that, they need to fucking ban him. Do not let him farm any more of your content. That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous, dude. Because he is unintentionally not understanding the sway and the power he has with his own audience. They trust you. They believe you. They don't look into what you're saying, bro. You're so lucky that you're not being held legally liable for some of the stuff you're saying. Because you entered into an agreement that this is an alpha. And if they can prove it, that you've, like, hurt their business, I mean, who says they did? Maybe he makes this video and he doesn't realize and it has the opposite effect. Great. But my God, just straight up lying when we've had so many companies and so many people of these scam MMOs go die hard like he's doing right here, where they go, it's the best, it's going to be so great, guys, you should all give your money. When they've done that, and they have helped these scam MMOs, but this is clearly not a scam, and he keeps on referring to it as a scam. Granted, he did just say this might not be a scam, that it might whatever. Okay, so I'm being a piece of shit again. So I'm gonna take ownership of that though. Unlike this fucking idiot. I get it. I'm gonna take ownership. He's saying it's a scam, but he's trying not to say it's a scam. He said it was a scam. He said it's not a scam. He exists in two worlds at the same time. Fine. But the thing is, oh man, I hope they fucking ban him. I hope he starts streaming it, and they get his account, and they fucking ban it every time. They should refund this fucking guy. They do not need him. There's other content creators that will step up in his place and be more than happy to do the ecosystem of what they need. A company like this, an indie company that is trying to make something for people that people will actually enjoy, instead of some shit that we've been shoveled into our mouths for years, needs content creators. They do. It is helpful for the business. It is helpful for everything that they do. Okay? It matters. Content creators matter. And they know that. But one of their biggest content creators just made a fucking fake video and just shit on them. That is going to have a negative impact on sales. That it's going to have... There's going to be so many people that watch this and have no idea. And they're going to be influenced by it. And I think that's wild. Because they shouldn't be. They shouldn't be influenced by it.
Best. For the audience who continue to watch, I advise to take the things that they say from this point onwards with a pinch of salt. What they say isn't what they have or are doing, it is what they
are doing it. Not everything... Oh my god, bro. He cannot help himself but lie. He cannot help himself. It's like an addiction. There is something called... Oh my god. There's a developer version of the game. There is the alpha version of the game. When the developer version is ready, they push to the alpha. The push to the alpha gives you the update. You cannot see what they're working on unless they tell you. What you're basically saying is, bro, they told you what's going to be in the game, what they want in the game. If that's a system that they're keeping, they will be working on it. Why? Because in order to finish the game, they have to complete those fucking systems. Does that not make sense? It is what they're working on. Because in order to finish the game, they have to work on it. We can't see the developer copy. We cannot see the developer copy. Do you understand? We do not know what they are working on. So when we say statements like, that's not what they're doing, okay, we don't know that. Unless they specifically said, hey guys, we scrapped this. Moving forward, this is going to be the new system. And then they're working on that thing. It happens all the time. This is why companies don't do this. They don't give this level of access. Because people aren't smart enough to fucking handle it. Developers have conversations like this all the time that you're not aware of. And then people go, well, I think developers hate their fans. Sometimes developers have to cut all ties with social media. They have to private their Facebooks. They have to stay off social media. They have to hide from these fans because, yes, they are just trying to get a fucking paycheck. And they have to deal with people telling them to kill themselves? Brother. You've got people like this straight up lying with no consequence. And what's the game developers going to do about it? Nothing. They can't. They're a company with real adults that work for a living. What are they supposed to do? They can't answer it besides keep working on the game. Unfortunately, you know what that means? It means that maybe in 4 years they can prove him wrong. It takes so long to make something work. And the bigger your team gets, especially past 150, the bigger your team gets, it just gets exponentially more messy. Okay? The ideal team size to work on a game is like 30, in my opinion. Anything past that, and it becomes muddy. It becomes muddy. You got people working on top of each other, pushing things that they shouldn't push, deleting other people's work. You got debugging people saying, like, you're all stupid. We fucking hate this job. Because the debuggers have to go and work on everyone's code. It is not simple to make a game. They do not just copy and paste stuff into the world and magically make a game. My guy.
They intend eventually. Now, to conclude the video, I just want to say that I'm obviously not going to stop making content, of course.
No shit! Not after you farmed the fuck out of this video!
Will continue, just not with Ashes of Creation. A lot of you have grown to genuinely enjoy my commentary and reliance on uploads, but I felt these last couple of years, Ashes of Creation has held me back. I didn't feel like my...
Yeah, it held you back. And that's why you're nuking it. And that's why you're giving all these fake-ass reasons so you can exit. And not have your fans hate you or leave. Because you know that most of your fans are here for the Ashes of Creation content. And you need somehow to get out of it. And it's disgusting the way you did it. You could just have an honest conversation with these people who trust you. Instead, I mean, look at all these fucking monkey shots of him. Like, he's like, haha, look, I'm entertaining. This is entertaining, guys. You love it. You love it, right? Okay, bro. Fine. They love it. Your fans will stay with you if you do Ashes. If you don't do Ashes, yeah, you might lose some of them, sure. That doesn't mean they'll unsubscribe, and that doesn't mean necessarily that they'll stop watching, though, bro. You've got other videos. They've watched those, right? Okay, so, like, you don't have to exit like this. You don't have to be this guy, but you chose to be this guy. That's wild. Because up until now, I had no idea that this guy even acted like this. Until this video. I had no idea he was such a lying piece of shit. I would have just, every time I see him, I felt lighthearted, like it was like just, I've got mental problems, haha, like, it's funny, I'm doing it for the camera, I've got copium, like, I get it, it's a meme, it's funny, I sit here and I go, ha, I just, a smile, but dude, I had no idea he was like this. So you're telling me that all the stuff that he does on his videos is the act, and this is who he really is. Wild. Wild, brother.
Ashes of Creation has held me back. I didn't feel like my intros and comedic skits fit the format of Ashes anymore, so I stopped them completely. Only
Wow. You stopped doing intros and comedic skits to content updates because it didn't fit. No shit, brother.
to bring them back a couple of months ago to the joy of the viewers.
To the joy of the viewers, yes. Because your primary job is to entertain people. That's your primary job. And this isn't entertaining. This isn't entertaining at all. This is just saying a bunch of untrue shit and being a dickhead to people for no reason. You don't have to attack people to seem important. You don't have to act like you're better than another human being for your fans to enjoy your content. I'm sure that you could paint a smiley face on your bare ass and clap it across the screen and your fans would enjoy it. But instead, this is the guy you are now.
Sadly, this burst of confidence was once again stunted by Steven Sharif feeling offended by my light-hearted jokes towards his game, so I slumped back into the...
Oh my god. Light-hearted jokes. You know what? I'm not even going to investigate, but I bet these light-hearted jokes aren't light-hearted jokes. Okay? This man has no concept of how he's being perceived.
The boring format of trying to cover the news. Well, no longer am I going to be restrained by Ashes of Creation. I will continue to make videos, and if you watched exclusively for Ashes, then my advice to you is thusly. Forget about the game for about 2 years, and casually check in on Twitch or YouTube to see if there has been any progress. But for now, just put the game into the back of...
That should have been your whole video. That should have been your whole video. That should have been your whole video. Jesus fucking
your
Christ.
mind, because there isn't going to be any significant progress for a while, and that's okay.
It is okay. That's right. It totally is fine. Thank you. It only took you 13 minutes of lying, but he said it. It's okay.
The plan going forward in 2025, but one thing is for sure, I will no longer have my creativity held back trying to cater to a man who doesn't want to hear criticisms.
You have daddy issues. You have daddy issues. That's what you have. It's bad too. It's really bad. This man doesn't owe you anything. This is another human being that exists on the same timeline as you. This man doesn't owe you a fucking thing, no matter how much you've done for the company. He is trying to run a business, and you are socially and parasitically attaching yourself to him, and you are fucking manipulating people to attack him. How do you not get this is what you are doing? You know what? I'm sure he does. But you know, it's the video for the fans. He's gotta play it up. He's gotta do his skit.
extend my format beyond MMORPGs and start covering all sorts of games with the intros, jokes, and old format that you guys grew to love, because I only have one goal on YouTube, and that's to make entertaining videos that make people laugh. Now, obviously,
This doesn't make me laugh. This is ridiculous. Ultimately, I thought, yeah, that's what your content was. Bro. What the fuck?
changing the direction of the channel is going to be a long journey, and that means I'll be streaming full-time throughout 2025, and upload cadence on this channel will slow. I will be uploading highly edited videos, similar to my old format, on the games that we play on stream. So come join us over at twitch.tv/Nargaverse as we begin this new chapter. I cannot thank you enough for watching and supporting my videos throughout these last 4 years, and should you choose to stop watching for the time being, I hope to see you again in the future as I show up in your algorithm covering a game that actually exists. Hey, what up, boy?
He really had to throw that in there at the last bit. This man doesn't even understand what an alpha is. Okay. Look, I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this video, and I know there's going to be a lot of fans that attack me, and that's fine. It's not your fault. I don't blame you. Just a disclaimer. I don't know everything that happened between these two. I don't know everything. And you know what? I don't care. Where's the Steven Sharif video? Someone link me the Steven Sharif video where he acts like this. Please. I'm all ears. Oh, man. Like, guys, just, again, huge disclaimer. Because I know people are going to clip this. I know people are going to share whatever. And I know I'm going to get attacked for this video because this guy is somewhat likable in the videos that he's pretending to be a good person. Okay? He puts on clown outfit. Look at that. Look how adorable. Look how cute. Who wouldn't love that face? And I get it. He's popping off because of Ash's creation. He's a big creator. Great. Understand this. I do not know everything that happened between these two. I am specifically commenting on this video. I know most of you will not watch until the end. That is totally fine. I'm commenting on this video only. This is the extent of my knowledge. The other times I've seen him, it's just in passing on shorts and a few Ashes of Creation where he just shows like kind of just shows what they already show in the updates. The only reason I was even interested in Ashes is because it's an MMO. I have no stake in the company. I have no referral link. I have nothing to gain from this video. I don't know Steven. I don't know how he is. That's your disclaimer. Do what you will with it. I need to take a nap.